welcome back in, everybody, to another edition of the Postgame Pod here at Auburn Undercover. Nathan King, Patrick Bingham is not behind the camera. Welcome back to basketball season. First basketball postgame pod of the year, and it was the Stephen Pearl coaching debut. We talked to a couple new Auburn coaches today, and it was a very new Monday for both Auburn programs. Of course, football across the street. John Cohen talked to us earlier in the day, DJ Durkin, the interim coach. And then we got to make a nightcap here at basketball. And Patrick, it was anything but an exhale. I think a lot of Auburn fans thought, oh, tonight, basketball's back. It'll be a nice reprieve from the stresses of football. Instead, it was a very close game, 95-90. Auburn pulls it out in overtime over Bethune Cookman. And I'm sure you had this stat because you know these sorts of things. It would have been Auburn's first non-conference home loss in 10 years, lost to Oklahoma State in Bruce Pearl's second season. So at the end of the day, Patrick, you avoid disaster in this one, and everyone's a lot happier after you win. But Stephen Pearl said it after the game. It's bittersweet first game. You got a lot of things to get back to work and try to do after this one.
Yeah, where'd Bruce go? I didn't see him tonight. He must have been sick.
What was he up to tonight?
Wonder what happened to him. That was kind of the thing is like throughout the whole game, Bethune Cookman just kept finding ways to keep it going. They kept making shots. They kept answering. And credit to them. Yeah. For as bad as it is to foul someone in a half-court heave situation at the end of the game, like they then went and made all 3 free throws. But I think Steven talked about this, and maybe this is an improvement for Oklahoma State. I guess this is also a weaker opponent. But it's like Auburn then was still able to make the plays down the stretch. The stat that stuck out to me was I think they missed 9 of their 16 free throws in the first half, made 20 out of 22 attempts from the second half onward. And so it's like you're able to like do the little things to find a way to win. Of course, it wasn't clean. It was ugly in a lot of moments. That's probably natural because this is a team that's now played 3 games, counting the exhibitions together. Like, it's just going to take time. That cohesiveness we've been used to is because those guys have played together for a while, and now it's new people.
Yeah, and particularly that comes on defense. And I thought that was a good point Stephen Pearl made after the game. Number one, it was very clear today, Auburn doesn't have an alpha rim protector. Like we knew that about this season. We knew they were going to have to be more creative on defense. And the fact that, and I asked Keyshawn Murphy about it after the game, I just assumed he was getting his leg looked at during the game. Turns out he rolls his ankle on the very first possession, so he has to go in and out with Clark the trainer and just get looked at over and over again. So Filip Jovic plays a lot of minutes at the 5 spot for Auburn. He starts at the 5 in this game. Yeah. Sebastian Williams-Adams, the freshman, a 6'7" forward, has to close out the game at the 5 spot, and then Emeka Oporum, who is Auburn's. At least we thought he was going to be Auburn's backup center. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like that is the case. It sounds like he's just out of the rotation currently.
He didn't play, correct?
He didn't play.
You asked about that, I think.
Yeah, he didn't play at all, and he's had a back issue. And Steven said, no, we just need him to kind of come on and play better. And so the defensive issues, you mentioned the Oklahoma State game, we've known Auburn was going to have to get creative on defense. This is not, as you mentioned, this is not a team that has the cohesion of the last few years. That matters on defense. On offense, I think it's the assumption they're going to get theirs eventually. Like, there were a lot of lulls on offense in this game, but they eventually got it going. Keyshawn Hall eventually scored 28 points. Yeah. There was a lot of things to figure out on that side of things, but we definitely saw, whether it was blow-bys, whether it was Bethune Cookman just backing them down in the paint, we definitely saw a lot of those defensive flaws that Stephen Pearl is obviously going to be very focused on fixing early this season.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the thing with offense. I sit behind the basket, and just like filming that internal dialogue, I'm just like, man, it just kind of feels like they're just not, like the shots just kind of weren't falling at parts.
Yeah,
they would get close, and it was just sloppy. And then you look at the end, and I know they played 5 extra minutes, but it's like they shot 47% and got in the 90s. Like that, that's good. That should be enough. And so, I just think that's one of those things with the defense where it's like that's going to take time, and like you just get so small there at the end. And I think that's kind of it's becoming a theme through these 3 games where things just kind of keep happening to Keyshawn Murphy where it's like, God, like you need him. For as small as you already were going into the season down there, you can't not have him as well.
Yeah, I mean, we saw his impact tonight in a really big way. 17 points, 8 of 9 field goals in the game, so he missed 1 shot, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. I mentioned Keyshawn Hall had 28 points in this game. I kind of get a feeling he's just going to do this every night. Yeah. Maybe not 28 points, but he's going to have an opportunity for 20 points. And then you saw little bits and pieces from all these guys that we've come to expect. Sebastian Williams, Adam Sway, as they call him. Like, he's just going to keep making these winning plays.
Yes.
And in overtime, I thought it was defense and free throws prevailed. For as bad as the defense was throughout the game, you had 3 steals in overtime and a block by Todd Pettiford, of all people. But Kevin Overton had 2 steals in overtime. He also came up late. You could see that sort of veteran guard presence from him. And then the way they talk about Sebastian Williams-Adams and just kind of the poise that he showed in this game really came up big. And another trend that we've seen recently, I just mentioned Pettiford, we've seen a trend of, and the offense hasn't, it doesn't feel like it's clicking on all cylinders, and yet you score 95 points. Pettiford has not shot well, and did he shoot that well against Memphis? I know he didn't shoot well against Oklahoma State. He's struggled to shoot the ball over the last month or so. He's only 4 of 13 from the floor, still 5 assists in this game. But Stephen Pearl said it afterwards, like he threw a little bit of a reference to Hugh Freeze. He said,
"That's fun."
He said, I know Auburn fans are tired of hearing about patience, so we're just going to go get our butts to work. And that is, I think, what people are going to have to understand about this team, Patrick, is, look, was tonight good enough, and was tonight what you should have expected? No. They know that they should have won this game by more. Credit to Bethune Cookman, though. Like, that was Sebastian Williams-Adams, I thought, a tremendous answer for a freshman about, look, this is a team with a lot of really good players, with maybe an NBA player, with a former McDonald's All-American. They're picked to win their league and go to the NCAA tournament. Sometimes the other team just comes out and throws some really good punches, but Auburn obviously feels like they can learn a lot from tonight.
Well, and Steven even talked about in the postgame of the wrinkles that this team put in, of the zone defense, of they really didn't play it at all last year or in their one exhibition, and then it was almost half the game. But yeah, that's one of those things, and I was by the Bethune side, or, sideline area, and it's like, these are the game, for as crazy it is to talk about the tournament in the first game, for a team like that, if you pull off a win like this, that gets you into the tournament if you're on that fringe where you're in a one big league, something like that. And so but you were able to find a way to win. You kept being able to make the winning plays even when all the momentum kind of shifted and you had to go to that overtime period. You mentioned the defense. It's and I think that's why you almost have hope that, with patience, LOL, it will get better.
Sure.
Because in the biggest moments, those things did work.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just a disaster the entire time.
Yeah, just tremendous step up from Bethune Cookman in certain parts of this game. And Stephen mentioned that they're not a very good three-point shooting team. They haven't shown that in their recent history at all. They go 12 of 22. I believe that ended up 55% from deep. Seneca Willoughby is a name that I don't think anyone knew, but he hit 4 threes in this game.
Yeah.
I think all of them were inside of 7 seconds in the shot clock, and they were in some tough spots. Right in front of the student section, turns around and gives it to the students. Right in front of the Auburn bench, turns around and gives it to the bench. Right in front of his own bench, gets the entire bench fired up to take the lead late in the game. They're making some tough shots. Now, Stephen Pearl mentioned they didn't close out with their hands up sometimes. And what you just said is the most important, trying to get silver linings out of the fact that there is so much room for improvement. This team, Stephen said it after the game, they have to make steady improvements game by game. They don't have the size. They don't have a superstar defender. They've got an NBA player at point guard, but you have got to gel game by game and get more comfortable with one another. And obviously the best thing tonight for them was that they got in the win column. Look, would Stephen Pearl say today this team's ready to go against Houston in a couple weeks? Absolutely not. But that is why you have these early season games. And so I think, Patrick, you and I were talking about it when we were walking over here, expecting them to just blow through this game and it'd be kind of a leisurely night. Instead, I wonder if I'm kind of reframing how I'm looking at this team early in the season, these 3 home games against low major opponents. I'm really interested to see, okay, are you going to show that growth before you're playing a clear Final Four contender in Houston?
Yeah, and Steven even talked about tightening the lineup a little bit from those exhibition games. And so I just think it's everyone kind of still getting into those roles. But again, if you had played Houston tonight, it would have been rough. But that's kind of the point of the ramp up. And even the point of playing a Houston or an Oregon or Michigan or who met Purdue in the non-conference is even if you drop all of those, you're going to be battle tested by the time SEC play rolls around, and that is ultimately what counts. But yeah, I do think it's a game by game. Can you incrementally keep getting better? And I think even we talked about going into the season, if they're going to be a more smaller ball team, you think back to the first Final Four team being one of the better examples of that, and they're going to try to go fast, which has been different. It's hard to go fast if you're not cohesive and gelling together.
That's a great point.
And so that takes time to get to there. And so I just, again, like, every time they get more film, every time they get to kind of redo it, it just gets more and more valuable.
Sure.
You kind of keep, and that's the goal, right? If we are, past the Las Vegas games or past the Purdue games, and it's like, oh, they haven't gotten better, and they've still been some injury problems, we'll have a different conversation. But for the first game, there's no need to freak out yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's huge that you get away with a win here, even if, like Stephen Pearl said, you really only played, quote, Auburn basketball in the last 5 minutes in overtime. But able to come out with a W in a game against a Bethune Cookman team that absolutely gave Auburn their all. And again, they avoid disaster. They didn't lose a bye game here under Bruce Pearl, period. So they lost to Oklahoma State and they lost some non-conference home games, but usually they didn't lose any non-conference home games. It's been a long time since you lost to a team that's not that good, that's outside of the SEC, on your home floor, and you certainly have never lost a game like this. So good for Stephen Pearl to avoid all of those things. But like he said after the game, John Cohen goes in and gives him the game ball, and after the game he was kind of like, yeah, but it's great and all, but I'm ready to go study some film. And so, of course, that's the mindset this team has to have. So plenty more to get into, and definitely an eye-opening game with lots to pour over tonight in Neville Arena. 95-90, Auburn beats Bethune Cookman in the debut game for Stephen Pearl as head coach. Technically, as he said, his second win. I'm going to keep saying it's his Auburn debut. Whatever. It's his debut as the full-time head coach, and they'll be right back to work here in Neville Arena. We'll get another opportunity to see this team Thursday night against Merrimack, and so we will have you guys covered there. Be sure to head over to AuburnUndercover.com. Of course, we still have our 60% off promo going for the coaching search that's happening across the way at football. We'll be back over football tomorrow for practice. It's that time of year. Not only is there crossover, but there also happens to be a coaching search, and so it's as busy as possible. But that's the way we like it over at AuburnUndercover.com. We would love if you guys would join our community. It's been a great time so far, and just come along with us for the ride. And so for Patrick Bingham, I'm Nathan King. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Who are they going to hire as the head coach?